next salad extras recipe I'm going to show you, and we're going to move actually into a couple of quicker recipes now that you could actually make on the days. Like, you know, if you come home from work and you decide you want a salad, you can just whip these up, stick them in the dehydrator for like an hour or 2 hours preferably if you've got it, and you can be done. And you know, if you compare that with cooking, where you have to come in from work, you have to do a load of stuff and cook, you know, all we're doing here is throwing a few ingredients together, we're putting it in the dehydrator, and then we're making a salad and forgetting about it. So you know, this is one of the reasons why I put this course together like this, is to show you that actually raw food can be easier and it can be quicker because you don't have to stand there watching it. And obviously it's got all the other benefits over cooked food. So we've got our broccoli, we've got 3 cups of broccoli here, and you saw me split those up in the first week when we're doing knife skills into these little florets. So we'll just transfer those to a bowl, and then what's going to happen is we are going to put, I mean, it looks like a lot of broccoli, that's probably a good head of broccoli, and once this dehydrates down and softens up, you could easily eat all of that, you know, and that's raw broccoli, so it's good for you. That's the aim. So lemon juice, tamari, which has got salt in. So the salt, whenever salt hits produce, it starts to wilt it down and give off water, because it actually opens up the cell walls of the produce and the water starts coming out. And then what will happen is the fat, which in this case is the olive oil, will go into those open cells and deliver the flavour into them. So what you'll notice is as you start to do this, and whether it's, you know, whether you've added Himalayan salt or whether you're using something salty like tamari, that saltiness is what wilts it down. So we're really kind of crushing these as we go along and softening them up before we put them in the dehydrator, which will further soften with the heat. Now the interesting thing about broccoli is if you dehydrate it for too long, it will just disappear into nothing, it just goes really small. But because oil doesn't dehydrate, it's only water that dehydrates and evaporates, the oil we put in here is going to protect them to a certain degree and stop them going too small. But we're only doing it for an hour or 2 anyway. So, and there's no need to let these marinate, they'll just marinate whilst they're in the dehydrator. You know, this is really just quick and easy stuff. Now, as an option, you'll see on your recipe I put nutritional yeast. So you can add a little bit of nutritional yeast in there as well, a bit of cheesy flavour. And obviously you can play around with the oils that you use in this. You could use you know, apple cider vinegar instead of lemon juice. And then you can start adding some spices maybe to this, bit of cayenne, heat things up a little bit, maybe some cumin, coriander. Okay, so you can probably see now that that's reduced right down from what it was, and that's all it needs in terms of massaging. Okay, so again we're going to use a non-stick sheet because of the drip effect. Just sprinkle. Wish there was some way of conveying the smell to you. So good. And if you want to use a little bit of sesame oil, I know sesame oil, if you get cold pressed sesame oil, it doesn't really have that distinct sesame oil flavour, and we generally want to stay away from cooked fats because they're just not assimilable by the body, not digestible at all. But you need such a small amount of sesame oil to get that flavour that every once in a while I personally will do that just as a treat. Just like a tiny little quarter of a teaspoon of sesame oil. But you know, when you think about those Asian cuisines, sesame oil, broccoli, stir fries, it all kind of goes together. So these will go in the dehydrator, and then again we'll come back and look at them in a couple of hours and I'll show you what they look like. The dehydrator, and this has been dehydrated for about 2 to 3 hours, and as you can see, this was the edge that was closest to the fan because these have dried up a little bit smaller, and then obviously as the further you get back, the further away from the fan and the heat it is, the less it's dehydrated. So I mean, it's not really a problem because it's quite nice to have the different stages, and we'll mix that all up and have that in your salad. You know, but when we come to do breads, I don't always do it, but when you flip it off of the non-stick sheet, you can just turn it around so that you know, that it gets dehydrated evenly each side. The TSM actually I found has less of that issue than the Excalibur, only slightly. You know, the Excalibur is really pronounced, like you can really see there's a difference in this gets dry a lot quicker than this edge. But there's the broccoli, we'll put that to one side. Then we'll move on to the next ingredient, and then at the end of this week we're going to kind of bring them together in like a free-form salad when I teach you about the vinaigrettes and the heavier dressings. So let's get on with the next one.